Welcome to the podcast where we discuss about financial freedom or financial success and how you can achieve this. In our last podcast on obstacles or barriers to wealth creation, we saw that the main obstacles are unawareness, mindset creation, vision, culture, religion, among others. Today, we are going to look at the first and foremost factor, which is unawareness. Unawareness. The first thing in solving any problem is to recognize that there is a problem. Without recognition, it is impossible to start the solution process. In the same way, if one is unaware of his or her situation or potentials and skills one acquires, the desire for change cannot be stimulated. The dictionary defines unawareness as a condition in which one does not have knowledge, perception of, or noticing something. It also means someone is ignorant or uninformed about a situation. Therefore, the prerequisite for making a change and becoming successful is the understanding that your condition is not what you want for your life, even though outsiders may consider it marvelous. But, why are some people unaware of their situations so as to make the necessary changes? Why are some people unaware of their situations and potentials? As I mentioned in the introduction, the barrier to any change of the subconscious mind is the equilibrium force. The equilibrium force is maintained by the pre-programmed information. One of the contributors to equilibrium force is unawareness. Unawareness affects people from all social classes. In order to understand the reasons why it occurs, I will have to divide people into the following groups. Those with negative parental reference. Those that live in bad environment. People with unorganized knowledge, and those with strong culture and beliefs. Negative parental reference, NPR. Parental reference means everything we inherit from our parents as we grow up. We consider our parents to be our frame of reference, the only holders of truth, and to whose thoughts cannot be contested. Everything we inherit has some emotions attached to it in a unique way. This emotion is transmitted to our subconscious mind and we tend to follow our parents' footsteps, knowingly or unknowingly. You can agree with me that if the frame of reference is good, the output should also be good, but if it is bad, the result will be the opposite. This is true irrespective of social class. Negative parental reference, NPR, implies those attitudes we inherit from our parents which block us from being successful. An example is the behavior of people from very poor families. Most of them tend to continue doing the same dirty jobs which their parents used to do. This is the reason why poverty perpetuates in these families or poor neighborhoods. This constitutes a negative reference because dirty job cannot lead one to success. However, negative influence is not limited to poor families. People from working class families also follow the footsteps of their parents. The working class is characterized by studying, securing job, building career and a culture of always playing it safe. They do not take risks. Although they achieve some level of success, extreme caution does not permit them recognize the skills and potentials they have and through which they could reach a higher level of success. In this respect, the parental reference is also negative. The qualities we acquired by using our parents as a frame of reference are embedded in the subconscious mind and they remain in equilibrium with our body. The equilibrium position is always very difficult to be changed unless it is subjected to a stronger force. The same effect is observed with culture and religious beliefs. In the next section, we will see some techniques that can be used to change the equilibrium force. Another factor that contributes to unawareness is bad environment. Living in a bad or unfavorable environment contributes to unawareness and the equilibrium of the subconscious mind. It is even believed that the effect of bad social environment is stronger than parental reference, since environment affects people's behavior more than the gene. Bad or unfavorable environment implies living in an atmosphere where almost everybody is in the same situation of failure. This is the case of people living in poor neighborhoods. Their social environment is dominated by people who are in the same precarious condition and are also on the same level of thinking. They do not mix up with people from upper classes, which could permit them see world from a different perspective. The environment in poor neighborhoods is characterized by lack of almost everything. There are limited places for leisure activities, the shops sell poor quality items, no good schools, hospitals, banks, big buildings, and other things which could stimulate desire in people. Because almost everybody in these neighborhoods is poor, most of the children grow up assimilating this reality in their subconscious mind and thinking that life is just like that. In this way, most of them become comfortable with the situation and are not aware of other possibilities in life. The effect of unfavorable social environment can be demonstrated by the behaviors of people living in the ghettos. Their first reaction to help is always negative, even if that could improve their lives or neighborhoods. They are always rebellious against organized institutions, which they generally see as enemies. They think nobody should tell them what to do. They protest against anything they think will change their thoughts and lifestyle because they are used to that particular way of life. They think things should be done in their own way because nobody knows more than they do. While those outside their environment see them as suffering, they see themselves as people without many problems. The concepts that are built up in the subconscious mind are generally difficult to remove. The third group of people who are unaware are those with unorganized knowledge. Unorganized knowledge, according to the dictionary definition, is an organized body of information. Unorganized knowledge is, therefore, an unorganized body of information. This dictionary definition of knowledge is very important because it reduces the level of confusion that people have in their minds about education. Education does not necessarily mean acquisition of knowledge. In fact, knowledge is not exactly about your level of education, but about how organized the knowledge is. When knowledge is organized, the end result is always excellent. On the contrary, the outcome is mediocrity. People with organized knowledge tend to produce results, which can come in the form of discoveries, publications which change the way things are done, inventing and developing products which change people's lives. Some examples of people with a highly organized knowledge are Isaac Newton, Mozart, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Steve Jobs, etc. Those with unorganized knowledge, which account for the majority, struggle to find their way. Some of this latter group may attain a relative level of success. Unorganized knowledge results from the inefficiency of system which provides education in a compartmented form. Sometimes, subjects are taught as if they have no link among them. Take the example of teaching of mathematics in primary education. Algebraic equations are taught in one semester and geometry may be taught in another semester. Many students may have difficulty in visualizing that the two areas are connected. It can be demonstrated that geometry is the pictorial view of algebraic expressions. However, students go through their educational lives without realizing this connection. Many educated people are found in this group. Although they go through different levels of education, what they received is so disorganized that it does not produce excellent results. This is because organization of knowledge requires a lot of energy and work. As you may know, the human body by nature does not like doing work because it is at the lower energy level. It can be forced to work only when it is subjected to stress. Only few people have the ability to subject their mind to stress. As a result, only few are able to look for information and put them in a way they can be productive. The rest only reproduces knowledge as they received it. The question one may ask is, why are the people in the third group are unaware of the situation or potential in spite of their level of education? The answer is that subjecting one's subconscious mind to stress consumes much more energy than mere reading of books and getting information. Secondly, self-development is not a part of a normal educational curriculum. Therefore, people study without having a well-defined objective or thinking on how knowledge can be transformed into a value-added product. Thirdly, their level of education permits them secure job or start business, meet their basic needs and have some level of comfort. Any type of comfort restricts one from seeing beyond his or her horizon. What they do not know, though, is that if their knowledge becomes more organized, they will reach a higher level of success. In order to exemplify a member of this group, consider the case of some university professors. A university professor is one who generally has a doctorate degree in an area of specialty. Within some years of experience in teaching and research, he or she can reach the position of a title professor. Take the case of a mathematics professor as an example. Imagine a mathematics professor who has been teaching the same subject for 30 years. But, during this period, he or she did not make any significant contribution to the subject, either theoretically or through research. He or she did not even write a textbook on the subject. Although students may find the professor fantastic, as is always the case, he or she is not considered successful. The reason is that the professor did not add any value to the subject. He or she did not organize the subject in an appropriate form to create any impact. Consequently, the marketplace does not recognize him or her. In simple words, he or she will continue receiving the same salary as the others and can never be wealthy from teaching this wonderful subject. However, if the same professor had developed materials which could help solve the problems or put the teaching to a higher level, the market will reward him and he will be wealthy. The other factors that contribute to unawareness are strong culture and beliefs. Strong culture and belief. Culture and beliefs affect everything we do. The word culture is used here to mean the behavior of an organized society and a habitual way of doing something. An example of behavior of an organized society is that of a Japanese or Chinese, which is completely different from a British or an American. Example of habitual way of doing something is the medical proceeding or the procedure of a public functionary. Strong culture implies a very rigid way of doing things. On the other hand, belief is always related to religion or to a concept that everybody accepts as being true. Belief is a state or habit of mind in which trust or confidence is placed in some person or thing. As one can see, culture and belief are two sensitive areas in which there can be no questioning nor can be debated about. They are transferred to people from generation to generation in the same way. Since they cannot be questioned, they are embedded in our subconscious mind exactly the way they are received. They constitute one of the biggest sources of unawareness. The equilibrium of people in this group is generally maintained by faith, as they believe they are observing certain rules that will give them eternity in heaven. They believe they are in direct contact with God and therefore do not need anything more. Let us use some denominations of the Christian religion as examples. In some Christian denominations, the members are prohibited from watching television, not permitted to do certain types of work, obliged to wear certain kinds of clothes, and should go to church every day. On the other hand, they have to listen to the radio station and hear their leader preaching. Ironically, the radio station is maintained with the offerings from the members. What is holding the unawareness of members of this denomination? The misinterpretation of the Bible that only their preacher is righteous and that every other source of information will lead them to hell. Since many are not well educated, the only one to read and interpret the Bible is the preacher. Another reason for not watching television is the belief that money is the root of all evils, so it would not be good to be pursued. Instead, they should dedicate their lives to God in order to inherit eternity. But, what they do not know is that God has given them the power to develop themselves, be wealthy, and with that, serve their denominations or religion better. But, what on this earth can you say to convince the members of this denomination that their belief is wrong? I believe this problem is not restricted to Christian religion only, but to other religions too. Some religious leaders will deny of preaching this way, however, this is the message their members receive and which create barriers for their success. I am writing out of what I experienced and not from what someone told me, because I am a Christian and I live in the same neighborhood with members of different denominations. Different evangelical denominations also find ways of holding their members by scheduling events every day of the week. In this way, they can hold their members together and not lose them to their rivals. However, these activities consume a lot of time and do not allow time for their members dedicate to developing themselves. In this way, the members will remain in the same position forever. Unawareness is considered a negative quality. But, how does it affect success? How does unawareness affect success? The factors described in the section above affect people's success in different ways. The first three factors: negative parental reference, bad environment, and culture and beliefs, are stronger contributors to unawareness than unorganized knowledge. This is because, in some cases, the first three factors do not even allow people to have access to basic education and information. The equilibrium force of these factors is very strong. I am not saying that people in these conditions cannot be successful. What I am saying is that as a result of the difficulty imposed thereof, only a few can make it. In other words, the level of unawareness of people under the three factors is higher than those with unorganized knowledge, because the last group can meet some level of their needs while the first may not. It is easier for people with unorganized knowledge to reach some level of success. However unorganized it may be, it can still create some sort of awareness as a result of the desire to study more in order to get promoted and receive higher salary. Knowledge also makes people question some of the things they could have considered taboos. The unawareness of people with unorganized knowledge comes from the fact that they did not know their knowledge would have taken them to a higher level of success, instead of settling for less. Awareness is the starting point, without which other success factors, such as desire, vision, and change of mindset cannot follow. It is, therefore, very important that awareness be created in people so as to reach their maximum potential in everything they do. Even in the remotest place of the world or in the worst ghetto, the best lesson to be taught should be about creating awareness in people living in these areas. Every other mitigation method should come after this. Since awareness is very important, in what ways can it be created in people? Ways of creating awareness. The solution to creating awareness is to destabilize the forces which maintain unawareness. Awareness may come from reading books like the present one, attending seminars on motivation, comparing other successful people with oneself, by education, by receiving qualitative television information, visiting better places and neighborhoods than where one is currently living, and by generating curiosity. Awareness can be created by meditating over the listed points below and by asking yourself a set of questions. These are: why are others successful while you are not? Successful people are created by the same God who created you. Successful people also have culture just as you have. Compare your parents' habits with other people's parents. Why should other educated people be more successful than you do? Think about how you can transform unorganized knowledge into an organized one. Some successful people also come from poor neighborhoods and unfavorable environment as you do. Find out how they did it. Remember, culture and beliefs are not important when buying things you need or when you are sick. How can you buy all the things you need? Life of others continues progressing whether you are aware or unaware. If you do not raise your awareness, others will occupy your space, and how can the world notice your existence? After meditating over the highlighted points above, you will start thinking differently. Although the ways to reach these targets may differ, human beings are given the power of making choices. Secondly, nothing can come to you unless you look for and go for it. It is quite understandable that there may be some limitations for people living in the poor neighborhoods. However, they watch television, they have access to public libraries, community centers, parks, etc. These can be starting points for creating awareness. This book is written so people can understand the forces to which they are fighting against or the forces holding them from seeing beyond their horizon. Once you know these forces, you can break away from them. It is important to realize that whatever one's situation may be, there is always a way out. Your function as a human being is to find the way out of the barrier that is holding you back from success. See you in my next podcast.